Reese's Peanut Butter Cups are the greatest, but let me play devil's advocate here. Let's see. So, no, that's a good thing. That's definitely not a problem. Reese's, you did it. You stumped this charming devil.
Scott for Scott's here. You ever want to grow new grass faster? Kind of like when you press the 2 times playback button on your podcast so you can speed through episodes. Except at Scott's Turf Builder Rapid Grass, you're speeding your way from a thin and damaged lawn to a thicker, stronger one in just weeks. Bit too fast, maybe slow it down. Okay, let's just go back to normal speed.
Get a bag of Scott's Turf Builder Rapid Grass today. It grows grass 2 times faster than seed alone when applied at the new lawn rate, subject to proper care.
Feed your lawn. Feed it.
Welcome to the family here on Purple Mafia. I am your host, Paladino Joey, or Joey Wygen. Purple Mafia is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, PodMN, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Audible, Stitcher, Double Twist. Thank you once and always for downloading and listening to the show. It is a great pleasure to be back on board with you once again today. I apologize if I mentioned too many podcasting applications, but it's like, what the heck, why not? Maybe if you prefer one more than the other, you can use that one as well. Well, it's going to be an interesting run for the Minnesota Vikings coming up now, as we have a new general manager. We have head coaching second interviews coming up. Had to wait till today to do the show, so apologize if there wasn't a release about the general manager at the time. Just too much going on. I had other podcasts that were already that needed to get done that day, Friday. And Thursday, of course, Saturday, it's just not a podcasting day. And Sunday, of course, had to wait for the games to get done and all that. And, it's the Cleveland Rams versus the Cincinnati Bengals. Cleveland Rams and the Cincinnati Bengals in the Super Bowl. But we'll get back to that later. And I'm just playing around with the Cleveland Rams. But, yeah. Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit, too, coming up. It's kind of crazy, unless I just blank and don't want to get to it. But the Minnesota Vikings have a new general manager. It is Cam. It is Kwesi Adofo Mensah. That is your new general manager. Again, he was the VP of operations when it came to the Cleveland Browns, obviously the player side and everything, the vice president of operations from the player side, just like Rick Spielman used to be with the Vikings before he became the general manager. And Cam is confirmed to be 40 years old. It was going to be 32, he's 32, he's 36, he's 40, he's 40, he's 32, he's 40, he's 32, he's 40, he's 40. Okay, so we can move forward with that. He does sound like a very genuine person. He recognizes everyone who made a difference in his life and guided his way. Sounds like a really great person in the press conference at the very least. He apparently blew away the Wolves, like I was talking about. I guess, maybe he will blow the Wolves away. And I figured, I had a feeling he would have to, and he did get the job. Like, I just had a feeling, I had a weird feeling like something was going to happen that way, even though I was like, right, it's going to be Ryan Poles, and I was preferring Ryan Poles just because, heck, an offensive lineman, offensive lineman and general manager of the Vikings, it doesn't get better than that, does it? Think about it. But apparently, Cam was more willing to keep the current scouts in the organization versus Ryan Poles, who is now the Chicago general manager. Ryan Poles is now the Chicago general manager. As to what really took place with all that, but it sounds like there were little bits and pieces like that, that the Vikings actually lowballed Ryan Poles at the beginning, the first offer, so to speak. And then, of course, he went to interview in Chicago, and I just had a sinking feeling when he went to Chicago, like somehow, some way, he was not going to leave Chicago without becoming the general manager, and I just kind of knew it. So Ryan Poles is your Chicago Bears general manager, so he will be in the NFC North with Kwesi Adofo Mensah, pardon me, and those are your GMs in Chicago and Minnesota. Kwesi, apparently, this is all during the press conference, just notes taken during the press conference. He wants to listen to all views before making a final decision to cover all the blind spots when it comes to drafting players, free agency, trades, this and that. So he sounds like a very thorough person. That's always very good. He really did cover the bases, which is impressive. And he he wants a coach that he would work with, not work for. He would work with, not for. His coach, that's what kind of coach he's going to find, basically. He will work with, not for. Or, excuse me, he will work for. Not, he would work with and he would work for. And it's a bit for. It's a bit both of those, pardon me. So that sounds cool. He would actually work for the coach in a lot of ways. It sounds like Jim Harbaugh, right? No, I'm kidding. So those are kind of notes taken during the press conference, just, little headlines, bits and pieces, points of interest, this and that. But sounds good. Sounds like a good person, lots of energy without being too hyper. He's confident without being arrogant. He's actually quite humble, and he's actually mentioned that. He mentioned that multiple times during the press conference. Apparently, he's of Ghanaian descent, which is where, like, a good friend of mine from work who went to a new job, William, great guy from Ghana. He actually is from Ghana, and he's a really good leader, a good personality, and people really gravitated his direction. And, well, so this guy kind of reminds me of him a bit, even though, obviously, he's American-born from New Jersey. Funny, the Wolves are from New Jersey. I believe Ryan Poles is as well, so it's kind of, I think so. He's from that area, New York area, so it kind of figures they're all kind of East Coastians, but that's totally fine. Nothing wrong with that. But, again, nice, solid career for Cam leading up to this. He's just continued to move up, and Ryan Poles continued to survive any type of blow-ups with the Chiefs organization over the years, and they did a damn good job putting players together. So Chicago, there's a chance. There's a chance Chicago could be pretty interesting, up and coming. He already has a quarterback of the future, does Ryan Poles. We'll see if he's willing to stick with Justin Fields. He's gonna for now, but will he end up being his guy long term? We'll see. Whereas Kwesi Adofo Mensah, well, he's got Kirk Cousins with a salary cap crunch situation, looming. So we'll see. He's got work to do, so to speak. A team that finished 8-9, chasing that 500 mark. Hey, we want to at least be 500. We don't want to be a train wreck. Sometimes it's okay to have a train wreck season. Versus a train wreck like decade or three, like the Cincinnati Bengals and the Detroit Lions. Cincinnati Bengals train wreck, 30 years. Yeah, exactly. Of course, they did win regular season games, but never won in the playoffs since '91. Funny how that changed. Yeah. Just getting to the conference final was extremely impressive. We'll leave it at that for the moment, for the next segment anyway. But I'm happy with the hire. I'm not disappointed. I would have liked Ryan Poles, but I think I'm going to like this guy too. And maybe he's going to end up being better. It's all just kind of a wait and see type of thing. It's not like I have a ton of things to say other than, yes, he's analytical. And of course, analytics scare me sometimes because you look at what the Minnesota Twins did the last 2 years with Falvey, as they call him. Falvey and Levine. Yeah, it's not been good. Thad Levine, Derek Falvey. It's been crappy. They had a really good 2019 season that went up in smoke against the New York Yankees and blah, blah, blah. And then last year it was a train wreck. They have no pitching, and supposedly that was their specialty. Ryan Poles would have probably specialized in offensive line, I got to think. Kwesi, we'll see. It's just kind of general, thorough thought process. And that's what I can tell from him. He's very thorough. He wants to cover all the blind spots, which I think is a good thing to say. Obviously, again, it's a press conference. We don't know. Childress did not win the press conference, from what a lot of us remember, and he didn't win any. He didn't win a lot of people in general, other than his offense was a match for Brett Favre, which was nice. That was a nice set of affairs there. We appreciate that. So to look at the coaching candidates and this and that, and coaching candidates that have been eliminated because they found different jobs, Nathaniel Hackett will be coach of the Denver Broncos. Anyone connecting dots here? Do you get it? Do you get what's happening? Do you get it? Yeah. There's a pretty good chance Aaron Rodgers is going to Denver, or at least this is definitely the ultimate way to pitch for it to happen. Nathaniel Hackett's his head coach now if he goes to Denver. So, and that was basically like his in a lot of ways like his best friend in the coaching staff with the Green Bay Packers. Him and LaFleur worked together just fine. It's just, and LaFleur, obviously, he did not cover all the blind spots because they sucked in special teams, and that's a huge reason why the 49ers won. Special teams didn't help the 49ers a whole lot yesterday, unfortunately. The defense did, and then ultimately didn't at the very end. But well, that's how that goes. We may have a coaching candidate on the San Francisco sideline and the Los Angeles Rams sideline in the NFC Championship game. Very strong coaching candidates. We'll talk about that very shortly. Very strong possibilities anyway. And of course, a guy who happens to be the coach of the Michigan Wolverines. His name has been floating around out there and lurking, and it's really interesting. But how serious should we take it? Hard to say. But Josh McDaniels will be coach of the Raiders. The Oakland Raiders are going to be hiring Josh McDaniels. Of course, they hired the director of player personnel from them being the Raiders, hired the director of player personnel from the New England Patriots. So there's definitely a connection there. So Josh McDaniels, this time, I guess he's going to be the coach of the Raiders. He's not going to get cold feet and screw all the people he hired at the last second. Like walk away at the altar, so to speak. That type of thing, like he did with the Indianapolis Colts just a couple of years ago. They turned out okay, though. Frank Reich is a damn good coach. He was the offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles. Pretty nice backup plan for Indianapolis. We'll see what's going on with the Las Vegas Raiders. I hope I didn't call them Oakland, because I tend to do that a lot. At least I don't call them the Los Angeles Raiders, right? That was a long time ago now, back in the 80s and early 90s. Not quite that far stuck in the past, I suppose. But, because Oakland Raiders just rolls right off your tongue. It just does. Well, the main coaching candidates at the moment, there are 3 main coaching candidates. The third one is a dark horse because it's crazy. It's kind of crazy, and a lot of people think that it's just the agent making things interesting, that's so to speak, to bring up certain guys' leverage. We'll talk about him shortly. I keep teasing to it, and you already know who it is. As I sip my coffee here, pardon me. Well, it looks like defensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers, DeMeco Ryans, is going to get a second interview this week. And Kevin O'Connell, offensive coordinator of the Los Angeles Rams. Again, another possibility. Well, DeMeco Ryans, that defense has been absolutely great. Is he a huge part of it? I'm sure he is. Offensive coordinator Kevin O'Connell as well. So they will be candidates. They're both young. They're up and coming. And, well, young up and coming coaches, Sean McVay, guys like that. Kyle Shanahan, hopefully this guy, or hopefully whichever one of those two will be as accomplished as those guys coming forward when they are head coach of the Vikings, if one of them becomes the head coach. The other one that Pelissero notes that I wouldn't be surprised if Jim Harbaugh is in the mix as well. Jim Harbaugh, again, Michigan coach, and of course, very successful coach of the San Francisco 49ers before it wound up in a train wreck at the end of the 2014 season. He got there in, 2011, took them to the conference final, took them to the Super Bowl in 2012, and, man, it was beautiful. Took them to the Super Bowl in 2012. We had that interesting, dramatic game against the 49ers in 2012. Christian Ponder had probably his best game as a Minnesota Viking. It was the most highly downloaded episode in the history of Purple Mafia. It was an amazing day. Unbelievable amount of interaction on the Facebook page that day, where the Vikings barely beat a great 49ers team. And Jim Harbaugh was playing with the rules with the replacement referees, but he was getting 2 or 3 challenges in the half or something. It was kind of funny. He was just toying with those people. They almost beat us, the 49ers, but luckily Christian Ponder and the Vikings were successful in that game, and the ratings just went through the roof the downloads. It's oh my God, we have a quarterback of the future. Yeah, little did we know how false that would be just a few weeks later, but and remain that way. But, well, it was a great day, and this and that, and Jim Harbaugh barely lost that Super Bowl. Of course, had a huge deficit to overcome after the power outage took place, and then it felt like Baltimore had lost their mojo after that weird power outage during the halftime show, or right after the halftime show. San Francisco went on a huge run, and then Randy Moss, the old alligator arms himself, just like he was many times in Minnesota, did it one last time to prevent himself from bringing home a Super Bowl championship. And a certain quarterback I'm not a huge fan of, but he did a great job with that San Francisco club for a couple of years there with Jim Harbaugh as head coach, him being Colin Kaepernick. Yeah, he did a good job, obviously, that mobility and that spread offense, this and that. It was entertaining, and of course, Jim Harbaugh is the kind of guy that adjusts to what he has. He's a hell of a coach. He's strange, he's weird. Alex Boone liked him very much. Of course, former Vikings guard, right guard, San Francisco 49ers right guard. interesting relationship with those two guys. They got along pretty well, this and that. So I'm sure he would endorse the heck out of the move with Alex Boone. Again, it would be a splash hire, which is what the Wilfs are known for. And the fact that Kwesi Adofo Mensah says he would work for the coach, this and that. Jim Harbaugh, he'd definitely be working for him. Let me tell you, he would kind of be like that in a lot of ways. So interesting. And yes, general managers are kind of supposed to work for the coach, and the coach is supposed to work for the GM. It's supposed to be a team effort. That's what it's supposed to be, and I'm sure it would be similar with Kevin O'Connell or D'Amico Ryans. But let's just say it'd be a little bit more, I would work for the coach. If Jim Harbaugh came to the Minnesota Vikings, he would definitely be like, yeah, we really need this guy, this position filled, blah, blah, blah. And I got to think Kwesi would do the best he could to get that job done. It would be definitely an exciting splash hire, and apparently, well, according to sources out there, like, you know, the ESPNs and the Tom Pelisseros and all of them out there, saying basically that Harbaugh is very interested in coaching the Minnesota Vikings. But the price tag would be outrageous, a lot of people believe, because it sounds like he wanted the same contract that John Gruden had with the Las Vegas/Oakland Raiders when he first got there. It was Oakland Raiders at the time, but everybody knew they were moving to Las Vegas. It was just like a delayed thing, and the fans still went to the games and blah, blah, blah. Obviously they did. I can't imagine what that felt like, though, for that fan base. Ugh. Yeah, this team's here and everything, but they're moving in like 2 years. It's like, that's wonderful. Huh. Just wonderful. They're moving, but they're still here for now. Yeah, enjoy them while you can. Oh, God, that would suck. But that was 10 years and $100 million. And Jim Harbaugh supposedly said, hey, you want me to coach your team? Give me the same contract you gave John Gruden. I'd love to coach your team, but you gotta pay me. You gotta pay me and commit to me. Well, the Raiders ended up firing Gruden because of the email gate, I guess you could call it, 10 years prior. Again, it's just unreal. You sneeze wrong 20 years ago near somebody, and guess what? You're going to lose your job. You know, this and that. You know, it's unbelievable how things have changed over the years, how it's become definitely a pitchfork nation. Who knows? I mean, there could be stuff on anybody out there, but we'll see what kind of price tag we're looking at with Jim Harbaugh. Would he be willing to take less than that? I would hope. If not, I think it's adios, bye-bye. It's a deal breaker, and it's maybe just whatever the heck they call it, you know, just positioning himself for a different job, leveraging himself, that was the word I was looking for a bigger contract with Michigan, or maybe another school, or maybe another NFL franchise. It ain't going to be the 49ers again, let me tell you. And it's not going to be the Raiders either. Josh McDaniels is head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. Congratulations, Josh McDaniels. Let's see if he does a little better than he did with Denver, and let's see if he stays put this time. You know, because that's he does that again, he'll never be a candidate the rest of his life. I'm kind of surprised he even got another chance after the train wreck in Denver and the the weird situation with the Indianapolis Colts. He ended up being right about Jay Cutler, though, when he basically rolled into Denver and was like, Jay Cutler's not really a good quarterback, this and that. It was like immediately. Well, he was right about him. Jay Cutler was pretty average, pretty mediocre, and, well, the rest is history. He just didn't have the drive. He just didn't have it. But that's kind of where we stand right now with the coaching situation. Why Jim Harbaugh makes sense, why he doesn't. This is all from like Daily Norseman and Tom Pelissero, a lot of this information. It's going to be interesting. I'm sure the next Purple Mafia, absolutely, because it's going to be a while from now, unless there's a head coach before that. Because the next Purple Mafia will be 2 weeks from now, at least planned that way. There probably will be another one announcing a head coach, like a short show where it'll just be about the coaching, fan interaction to that, and other maybe news that floated around at the time, getting caught up with that. That's what I'm guessing will take place. But otherwise, the next planned Purple Mafia show is after the Super Bowl, where we'll see who wins, this and that. Otherwise, the next head coach will be probably in a week or so, maybe even less. It might happen today. Who knows? It might happen today, but probably not. And, well, the San Francisco 49ers defensive coordinator is completely available now. He's not he's not coaching any more games, where Kevin O'Connell will be offensive coordinator in the Super Bowl for the Los Angeles Rams. So that's the situation there, and Jim Harbaugh is Jim Harbaugh. So we'll see if there's any announcement. With that, we'll take a quick break and look at the exciting, crazy Championship Sunday. And we are back here on Purple Mafia, segment number 2. Time to look at the Championship Sunday that was. The AFC or the NFC? The AFC or the NFC? I guess we usually go with the AFC first, even though you could argue this game I had much more excitement with because, well, they're finally done. The Chiefs are done. Felt like $1 million to see it happen. The Cincinnati Bengals have one of the best kickers in the league. There is just a confidence when this guy steps up at those big moments to make that kick, regardless if it's 50 yards or 30 yards. Because believe me, those 30-yard kicks mean something, especially around here, don't they? 27-yard kicks. Like, we got this, we won the game, or at least we should win it, and he missed. You know, that kind of crap. And then we end up losing by a point to the Seattle Seahawks and other nonsense. You end up tying with Green Bay. It's ridiculous. You end up losing to Cincinnati at the beginning of the season. With Dalvin Cook fumbling. You wind up losing to a really good Arizona team with Greg Joseph missing a game-winning kick. And, you know, that's how the season started for the Vikings. A train wreck preseason. Fans telling guys like me, Dave Martin, and others like Sebastian and such to basically like we're idiots, we're morons. You know, a lot of our starters weren't even in there. And what are you talking about? You're a moron. Oh, just shut it all down and unfollow. This guy's an idiot. No, we're not idiots. It was all the same. All the same train wreck nonsense we were seeing in the preseason ended up leading into the regular season. And the Vikings lost to a terrible Cincinnati team that only won 4 games last year. They're just terrible. But they looked good doing it. They looked good beating us anyway, Cincinnati. They looked good beating us, but it's a fluke. They just had a really good game. You know, I mean, Joe Burrow just came back from an ACL. You know, I mean, it's okay. They're AFC champions now. They're AFC champions. We just may have lost to the Super Bowl champion. We just might have, because there's a chance this team wins the Super Bowl. Absolutely, there's a chance. Will they? We'll talk about that shortly. But what a game! What an unbelievable game! It had all the makings of a boring blowout demolition derby, just like Kansas City and Buffalo last season. Where Buffalo, there was just nothing there. There was no life. There was no spark. And this year there was all that spark, all that life, but they couldn't stop their grandmother. They couldn't stop their grandmother, the Buffalo Bills. After Patrick Mahomes carved up that Cincinnati defense on 3 consecutive drives, little did we know that Cincinnati defense would wake up. Little did we know Joe Burrow just might be taking a torch from a certain guy who just may be retiring after 22 seasons and doing it in the same exact fashion that Tom Brady did it and Joe Montana did it in his second year in the NFL. Joe Montana's second year in the NFL, he took his team to the Super Bowl and won it. Tom Brady, in his second year in the NFL, as a crazy underdog, out of nowhere, took his team all the way to the Super Bowl, replacing an injured quarterback named Drew Bledsoe, where everybody knew who he was, all the way to the Super Bowl, and beat an excellent St. Louis Rams team that was all in. They were all in. They put all their chips on the table. They thought they had a royal flush, but Tom Brady had one more ace. he had the true royal flush. He had the royal flush secretly. Maybe they were hiding cards under the table. Bill Belichick. Maybe they were. But one way or another, they got it done. But that was just on the defensive side. That was on the defensive side. But at the same time, incredible. Tom Brady, an unbelievable underdog going against a titan of a team of the St. Louis Rams, who was all in. They had all these wonderful players put together on the offense and on the defense that they'd acquired to go with Kurt Warner, Marshall Faulk, guys like that. And then the Patriots got it done. Oh so close. Just barely avoiding overtime. They had a walk-off win with a great kicker. It sounds like Cincinnati's got the ingredients to do the same thing. We'll see. Not guaranteeing anything, but it's just interesting how this is all kind of coming together, isn't it? It's fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. But I know what direction I'm going to go, because that's the direction I have to go. But obviously, again, a 21-3 looked like a demolition derby. Looked like since Kansas City was going to crush the It was going to be everything I didn't want. Kansas City rolling all over the Cincinnati team. It was a cute little run. You know, it was nice to see a second-year guy, you know, number one pick in the draft. You'll probably have a great career. Maybe Cincinnati will win a Super Bowl someday, but not this year. Kansas City is going to steamroll you guys into the ground. You're finished. You're done. Just go home. But we're going to get greedy first at the end of the half. We want to go up 28-10 because Cincinnati finally did something right. Finally something right. As running back broke loose, yards after catch situation there. It was quite a situation there. That was Samaje Perine with a 41-yard play catch in yak type of situation. About an 8-yard catch. Broke a few tackles, and next thing you know, away he went. And Cincinnati finally did something other than making that single field goal. Cincinnati finally got on the board with a minute 15 left. KC just marched down that field like they had been doing on the previous drives. Just marched down that field like, hey, we don't care about you guys. You're nothing. You're nobody. This is easy, man. This is easy. Yeah, you have a good defense, but we have a better offense. We have the greatest quarterback ever. He's going to be better than Brady. We have the greatest little jackass of a wide receiver of all time named Tyreek Hill. Every time he catches the ball, he just has to make a little move and away he goes, and the peace sign is revealed in your face. I beat you again. Peace, brother, or peace. You know, that's basically Tyreek Hill's attitude. And then they got to the second, the number 3 yard line, or the 3rd yard line. That's number 2 yard line. Okay, sorry. I'm in a weird mood for some reason. It's like, I don't know. It was a hell of a game. A hell of a weekend. And no, I did not drink too much. Don't worry, I had one. That's it. I had one. An interesting, weird one, but it was good. Late last night. They got to the 3 yard line, and then it came from the horse's mouth. Patrick Mahomes, I got a little greedy. Yeah, I got a little greedy. So instead of going for the field goal with 3 seconds left on the number 2 or number 3 yard line, there we go with the number again, the 2 or 3 yard line, 2nd or 3rd yard line, and instead of electing to just kick the field goal, go up 24-3, which wouldn't put the game on ice, but it would give you a bigger lead. It would have been a little tougher. They wanted to say, no, we're ending this here. 28-10, we're going to be fine. We're just going to match their touchdown. 28-10, they're not going to come back from that. Come on. Get out of here. They're not going to come back from that. You're telling me they're going to tie what the Indianapolis Colts did when they miraculously beat the Patriots, much to my chagrin, of course. I was pissed back in 2006 when they intercepted Tom Brady on the final drive of the game after their 18-point comeback, the Colts, to go on to win the Super Bowl. Interesting piece there as well. We'll leave that where that is. You take that you can take that to the bank, maybe. We'll see. If you'd like to, we'll see. It's not going to happen, though. You're going to go right back down by 18. You guys are done. Just get out of here. You're just the Bengals. We're the Chiefs. We're the Chiefs of the NFL. We're not the Chefs. We're the Chiefs. And it was to my least favorite player on the Chiefs, to Tyreek Hill, and he just got flipped and thrown to the ground right away for a 1 yard gain, and the clock expired. And then I turned to my friend Paul Tunoverskadov, and said, why is that reminding me of the Cunningham fumble right before the half against the Atlanta Falcons? The Vikings were going to win that game comfortably over the Falcons. They, believe it or not, as close as that game wound up becoming, the Vikings were winning comfortably. And just imagine the Vikings scored one more time instead of Cunningham gambling and going forward and fumbling the ball, and then the Falcons getting more points on the board right before the half. And everything changed. The Vikings offense just completely stopped after that. Just stopped. Completely stopped. And the Falcons started getting a little bit of confidence. And then a little similar thing happened. A similar thing happened all these years later in Kansas City, Arrowhead Stadium. The new Arrowhead, whatever. No, it's the same, but it's, nice and new, if you know what I mean. Wow. It's like, been renovated like a lot and all that, all fancy and updated. But little did we know just how true that statement was going to be. Am I lucky? Do I have some kind of sixth sense? I don't know. Or have I just watched so many games over the years that it actually kind of sometimes you can see something happening when other people might not be able to, because you've watched so many games. You've seen everything happen. like that Atlanta game many years ago, back in 98, 99 January anyway, but the 98 season. To see a 15-1 team go up in smoke, not even win a conference title. Kansas City wasn't exactly 15-1, but they still were very much a Super Bowl contender, and it looked like the door was blown wide open with Tennessee out of the way, Tampa Bay out of the way, Green Bay out of the way. Kansas City was going to win the Super Bowl for sure now. It's over. Kansas City wins, especially after the way Patrick Mahomes carved up that Buffalo team and was carving up the Cincinnati team. Absolutely crazy. Next thing you know, that Cincinnati defense started getting more and more confident because they stopped that little pest, Tyreek Hill. They stopped him. Normally you'd see Tyreek Hill blow right by somebody and peace sign, and it's 28-10, and the Chiefs are probably on their way to Los Angeles, California. But it didn't happen. It just didn't happen that way. Cincinnati would stop Kansas City after another sputter. They would get the ball back. Kansas City got the ball back because Cincinnati opened the game with a crappy drive. They'd get the ball back, but then the next thing you know, Patrick Mahomes, something changed about him. It's like he'd lost his magic. He was out of magic points, so to speak, until the final drive anyway, at least to get them back get them back tied up. But to see that defense, that pass rush, get to Patrick Mahomes as many times as they did, and to get the big crucial interception that they did, and then Joe Burrow to make the clutch completions that he needed to at least get the team in field goal range. All of a sudden they're within 8 points. It's just a one score and a 2-point conversion away. Shut down Kansas City the way that defense had been doing in that second half. Next thing you know, it was a tie game going into the fourth quarter. Unfortunately, you still had 15 minutes to play, so I can't get too confident, Cincinnati. But maybe you can, because Patrick Mahomes still struggled. But then, unfortunately, that Chiefs defense started causing a little bit of a havoc as well on Joe Burrow. And Joe Burrow threw an interception that was like, oh, great. Now maybe they are going to lose still. Nice comeback, but it's going to be like the Tampa Bay Bucks last week and the Buffalo Bills last week, where they made the great comebacks and still lost. It was depressing. Still lost to the home team, so to speak, in Kansas City, but I guess the Bucks were at home and they still lost to Los Angeles. And then you saw, it looked like, Patrick Mahomes has regained his mojo. Down the field they go. Again, this was after a 52-yard beauty by Evan McPherson, as Cincinnati was just barely in field goal range to take a 24-21 lead, to go from 21-3 to 24-21. What an amazing run by the Cincinnati Bengals. Incredible run. To actually take the lead on the road with 6 minutes left, but 6 minutes is eternity. And obviously, they're very stingy with using timeouts in Kansas City, which is good. That's good coaching. Unlike Sean McVay yesterday, who had no timeouts remaining with 10 minutes left. I mean, they had to lose that game, right? No, they didn't, though. Stupid. But, of course, Harrison Butker made his kick, like he always does. Made his kick. Kansas City just marched down that field when they needed to and was able to tie the game up. And you figure, oh, great. And then guess what? Everybody knows tails never fails with the coin toss, right? Everybody knows that. But just like Chris Carter and Steve Hutchinson, every gosh darn bleeping time, there's a coin toss going to overtime. Heads. Stop saying heads. Stop. Because it's always tails. If you hadn't noticed, it's always tails. I don't know what, it just is. Kansas City won the game now. They won the toss and the game, because you know what's going to happen. They're going to march down the field, and Tyreek Hill is going to do his little peace sign all the way into the end zone. That's what's going to happen. God, it's going to be just like last week with Buffalo. But then Patrick Mahomes was like missing people by a mile. It's like he just lost it. He was nervous. He was shaky. And then next thing you know, there's the interception, the unthinkable. And Cincinnati's only a couple of completions away from field goal range. And Cincinnati doesn't have to score a touchdown to win the game because they made the defensive stop. That's the rule in overtime in the playoffs and in general. But again, in the playoffs, the overtime is longer and all that. And the game goes until someone scores, this and that. But of course, it's not just a field goal. It's like the next score wins. It's not. They don't have to score a touchdown now. Only the opening team has to score a touchdown to end the game. Frickin' could have used that versus the New Orleans Saints, and maybe the Vikings wouldn't have made that stop anyway. Who knows? But we can't say that Joe Burrow never got a chance. We can't say that Patrick Mahomes never got a chance in this overtime game. Last week, Josh Allen never got a chance, unfortunately, because he probably would have taken Buffalo down and won the game if he had a chance. Probably. But we'll never know, unfortunately. But then Joe Burrow, like Tom Brady, got his team in field goal range. And, of course, Joe Mixon, the other Joe, was unbelievable. It was mostly Mixon, quite frankly, on this drive. All the handoffs and such. And Mixon just looked like the guy that the Vikings wanted, or Viking fans wanted years ago, despite some off-the-field stuff, off-the-field issues, behavioral issues going into that draft with where Dalvin Cook. It was similar with Dalvin Cook as well, where both players were taken in similar places. Going back to 2017, you thought, yeah, Joe Mixon, he's just on a crappy team. He's never, he's not as good as Dalvin Cook either. This and that. Now he's in the Super Bowl and Dalvin Cook's out of the playoffs. Both of them have had injury issues at times, but Mixon with unbelievable runs to put the Chiefs on ice as Evan McPherson, 31-yarder. There is just a confidence to Evan McPherson and a confidence to anybody that wants to see Cincinnati win when that guy steps up to kick that ball. And that's what happened. 27-24, Cincinnati once again wins an AFC Championship game. They are undefeated historically in the AFC Championship game. Unfortunately, so far they are winless in the Super Bowl. 0-2 both times versus the 49ers. Well, this time it's not the 49ers. It's another California team, the LA Rams. And we'll get back to that soon. Let's go to the LA Rams now, if humanly possible. 27-24. What a game. Well, wasn't that fun, though? And both of them ended up being good. San Francisco clearly looked like the better team most of the way, even though the Rams had a good drive in the second quarter, even though they took the early lead. But it felt like this is San Francisco's game. Low scoring. Matthew Stafford was missing at times. And that San Francisco defense looked so damn good. And a lot of people want DeMeco Ryans to be head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, and maybe he will be. He wouldn't surprise me if he is the top candidate. It's kind of funny when you consider both of these guys were coaching directly against each other. Kevin O'Connell and DeMeco Ryans. It's almost literally like they're, applying for a head coaching job right there in a lot of ways. And what a stage to do it in, an NFC title game that ended up being damn close. DeMeco Ryans' team did not win the game, unfortunately. But I don't think it's DeMeco Ryans' fault in a lot of ways, and I don't think it would have been Kevin O'Connell's fault either necessarily, as there's a lot of damn good players on both sides of the ball. Defense for San Francisco, offense for Los Angeles, and defense for Los Angeles. That's the one thing. That's where LA is a favorite in this game and in the Super Bowl because of the complete roster the LA Rams have. Deebo Samuel was obviously incredibly valuable. Again, the yards after catch and ultimately the touchdown. And one of the few touchdowns San Francisco would have in the game. Jimmy Garoppolo, though, I honestly feel he is definitely the weakest link with the 49ers, and it's not even close, honestly, other than Tart dropping a sure interception that would have won the game despite Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback. Tart had an interception, the safety for the San Francisco 49ers, an interception that players could dream about. And if Matthew Stafford makes mistakes like that against Cincinnati, Cincinnati is going to win their first Super Bowl. Quite frankly, I want them to. If you think I'm rooting for the LA Rams in the Super Bowl, you got something else coming there. The only scenario I would have rooted for the Rams would have been if the Kansas City Chiefs were in the Super Bowl. And that would have been a good Super Bowl, believe me. Two high-octane clubs with talent on both sides of the ball. It would have really been something. San Francisco certainly has talent on their side of the ball. There we go. Thank you. My wife was able to stop that. They certainly have talent on both sides of the ball, but I do feel the quarterback position is definitely the weakest link, despite his winning record and this and that. A lot of people are making fun of that now because, my goodness, he looked just like Kirk Cousins at times, especially on that final drive. It looked like Kirk Cousins, like losing his mind. And it wasn't just the horrible, desperation, like what the heck that was, like little shovel pass or whatever the heck you'd call that, flip pass that wound up being intercepted, and all the Rams had to do was kneel down and win the game. But San Francisco, we'll see. We'll see who the next quarterback is going to be, because I think they're a quarterback away from being a great team, honestly. Brandon Ayuk is unbelievable. Love him, the talent there. Deebo Samuel is everything. He was literally weeping at the end of the game, and I felt bad for him, and obviously so did Odell Beckham. Kind of went over there and was consoling him for quite a while. Cooper Kupp looks like a league MVP candidate, no question about that. 142 yards, 11 catches, couple touchdowns. The running back by committee for Los Angeles is also it's a talented group. Matthew Stafford able to run for key first downs, a lot like Joe Burrow did with the Cincinnati Bengals. Some of those key first downs Joe Burrow would run for that ended up, helping Cincinnati get themselves into a Super Bowl. That's one thing that Joe Burrow has on Brady is a little more mobility. Brady and Montana, you could argue, he has a little mobility despite an ACL injury. It's pretty damn cool, ACL injury and surgery. Looks like they did a good job on him, and he did a good job too afterward with the rehab. The fact that, just think about how NBA players miss 2 years oftentimes with ACLs. It's crazy. NBA players. Then you get NFL, which you think is a little more dangerous than the NBA. He's back right away, considerably less than a year. Joe Burrow played quite a bit last year before the ACL, so definitely less than a calendar year. He plays the entire season, and now he has his team in the Super Bowl in his second year of his career. Amazing. So I keep going back to that guy because it's unbelievable. Obviously, the Rams' talent level is crazy. The 49ers' talent level is very good, the defense and on offense. San Francisco, obviously, and they're well coached on both sides of the ball. Both teams are. Both sides. I mean, Raheem Morris, defensive coordinator of the Rams, he's fantastic. He might get a ring. He just might. I'm not rooting for that, but Cincinnati, man, you gotta go with Cincy. Well, no, you don't have to. It's up to you what you choose. You have a right to choose, damn it. As do I, because I was not cheering for the Rams or the Saints, the Chiefs either. A lot of people were. San Francisco, though, I mean, man, they should have won this game, and they just kind of let it go. Sean McVay, talk about, he's going for a challenge on a play the ball was clearly, it was an interception, supposedly. That wasn't an interception. It was clearly dropped. It was like an easy call. I saw it. I'm like, that's not an interception. Everybody knew it, and that was before the replay. Like, no, that's not an interception. He still challenges it. He had one timeout remaining, him being Sean McVay, and he lost his timeout. Down by, was he trailing by, I forget if he was down by 3 or 10 at the time. Because I had it written down. Where did it go? Oh, I had it in the Twitter account. But yeah, I mean, they were trailing. They were trailing at the time were the Los Angeles Rams, and he still went for the challenge, risking everything there. Yeah, they were down by 3, yeah, with 10 minutes remaining. And had no timeouts left in an NFC Championship game, trailing in the fourth quarter. I just found that absolutely crazy. Talk about risky. Yeah, so I thought San Francisco for sure was going to have it after that. But next thing you know, Matthew Stafford started completing passes he needed to and running for first down as well on one play, and ultimately kept getting the Rams closer and closer to tying the game up, which they ultimately did. And, of course, they were able to take the lead before the end of the regulation and such. And then Garoppolo had just a feeble effort, despite having plenty of time on the clock, but against the LA Rams defense that was determined to get themselves to the Super Bowl, led by Aaron Donald, who was extremely, extremely passionate, like, I want my ring, damn it. Well, you're going to at least get an NFC Championship ring, which you did a couple of years back, which the Vikings have 4 of, and I found them on the internet, like images of them. They look really nice. It's just too bad it says NFC Championship instead of Super Bowl or World Champions. But at least it's a glimpse into what could have been, because it's the same exact style of ring as a Super Bowl ring. It just says NFC on it instead of Super Bowl, unfortunately. It's cool to know that those exist out there, though. It is kind of cool. Yeah, so we have an idea what a Vikings championship ring might look like, because they look pretty good, despite the fact they're like 50 years old, some of them, or pushing on 50. But ultimately, again, the Rams go to the Super Bowl. And, again, Garoppolo is the missing link, and the announcers were saying basically what a lot of us were thinking. Probably Jimmy Garoppolo's last game with the 49ers, most likely. Hopefully Kirk Cousins' last game with the Vikings as well, but we'll see. Maybe Kirk Cousins will be quarterback of the 49ers next year. He'd be a slight upgrade. A little bit better special skills, but about the same, mental state. Though, again, Garoppolo does have a better winning record than Kirk Cousins. That's a fact. Kirk Cousins is basically a 500 quarterback throughout his entire career. And nobody can deny that. You can try to, but you can't. With that said, let's preview the Super Bowl a bit here. As humanly possible. The teams are fairly evenly matched up. Again, this is 2 weeks away, of course, and it's in Los Angeles. It's unbelievable how this turned out. How, 54 Super Bowls were played, where it was never the home team stadium hosting that Super Bowl. And oftentimes it was a college stadium, like Pasadena, this and that, the Rose Bowl. The Vikings lost the Super Bowl in the Rose Bowl. That was the last time we went to the game against the Oakland Raiders with John Madden as coach. We got absolutely obliterated after a good opening drive that ended up fumbling at the goal line, which I bring up many times now on this show. But 54 Super Bowls the home team didn't host. The Vikings came damn close, because in the past, teams would lose in the first round at best, and then that would be it. Like that 91 Vikings team didn't even make the playoffs when we hosted the Super Bowl 26 between the Bills and the Washington Redskins, which is what they were called at the time. Apparently a new name is coming up in a matter of days now. Less than a week away for Washington. Supposedly they're going to be the Commanders. That's the rumor out there. So that's a little bit of news for some of you out there that might be... Supposedly the name was leaked, the Commanders, but no logo or color scheme has been leaked yet. But the Los Angeles Rams will be hosting, will be in their own stadium, the same stadium the NFC Championship game was played in, which is just the darndest thing. The same game the NFC Championship game was played in will host the Super Bowl. City of Los Angeles, they have 2 weeks to go from NFC title game to Super Bowl. That's the ultimate situation where the Vikings were unable to host the game because we lost home field advantage much earlier in the season when we lost to the Detroit Lions. Supposedly that was the game that cost them. But ultimately in the math and this and that, where it would have helped if we beat Carolina as well that year. That would have clinched it too, believe me. But the Rams game Detroit game officially did that. So we didn't get to host the game. So LA gets the ultimate the ultimate treatment, host the NFC title game and host the Super Bowl. Of course, again, it's going to be different people. There is that. People already had Super Bowl tickets probably a year or 2 years ago that are not from Los Angeles. That could be cheering for anybody. And I'm sure I would think a bunch of wealthy Cincinnati fans or lucky Cincinnati fans will be able to get in the building as well. And, of course, the glitzy glamour crowd that doesn't give two bleeps about the game. They're just there to be seen and to show off. That's really all it really is. That's pretty much half of the LA Rams fans anyway. No, I'm kidding. Half of the Lakers fans. Lakers and LA, like in their suites, they think they're hot stuff. I'm sure they are. But an evenly matched game. In points scored a game, they are tied at 7th in the NFL. Total yards, Rams 9th, Bengals 10th. Total yards. Just think about how close that is. Passing yards, Rams 5th, Cincinnati 7th. Rushing yards per game, Rams 25th, because it's a committee, Cincinnati 23rd, but Mixon sure made up for that. Down the stretch in the AFC title game, time of possession is a huge, huge, huge advantage in favor of Cincinnati, 6th to 26th. Let that, yep, that was pretty big. 6th to 26th. Points against per game, very evenly matched. Cincinnati 17th, and Los Angeles 15th. Total yards against, 17th to 18th in favor of the Rams. Look how close this is. Passing yards per game, the Rams a little bit ahead, of course. Again, it's a glitzy offense, but then again, it isn't. 22nd. Cincinnati only 26th. Oh, this is defense, pardon me. Yeah, defense, passing yards against per game. I already did the passing yards, 5th and 7th. Yeah, I apologize there. But yeah, the Rams give up a bit of passing yards. Rushing yards, both teams are fantastic. Rams 6th, Cincinnati 5th. A key stat, though, that could mean a couple of key stats that could mean something in favor of Los Angeles, unfortunately. Sacks. The Rams were 3rd in the league. Bengals 11th, but they looked damn good against Patrick Mahomes, who couldn't be brought down by anybody last week with Buffalo. Interceptions, 3rd in favor of the Rams to these Bengals 15th. So those are two things that could help the Rams finish off the Bengals and win a close Super Bowl, which it will be. It will be a very close game. I will be very surprised if it's anything like last year's game where it was very one-sided. There were no key injuries that I know about that took place to like offensive linemen, guards, tackles. Like last year was like unbelievable bad luck for Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs with the left tackle going out. I mean, it doesn't get much worse than that. And they already had been missing a tackle, so they had 2 reserve tackles in there. Mike Remmers, I feel bad for that guy. Like, he completely lost his confidence when he came to Minnesota because he was playing out of position and all that. He was just screwed. He was absolutely screwed, and he's never been the same since. And I can't imagine how he felt last year, seeing his quarterback and his team get demolished by the Buccaneers last year. I strongly believe the Buccaneers would be a heavy favorite if they somehow got past L.A. It looked like Brady might have gotten his 8th title before he would have possibly retired here, because since it's not official yet. But it might be a perfect passing of the torch if Brady retires. If Joe Burrow is able to do a lot what Brady did, beat a fantastically constructed and all-in Los Angeles team that they invested everything they could. Obviously, you got your glitzy stadium, and now you're playing in it. That's another advantage that the Rams have, unfortunately. And but if he can overcome all that, Joe Burrow, and win 3 road games to get there, we'll see what happens. I mean, might as well win a 4th road game, eh, Joe? Since it's like a 4th road game. It's like what? It's like that. Obviously, it's a different audience. It's not just Rams fans. They'll be in the building. In fact, heck, yesterday wasn't just Rams fans either. There was a lot of 49ers fans there, but the Rams fans ended up getting what they wanted, and not the San Francisco fans. Cooper Kupp is an MVP candidate, of course, 1947. Receiving yards rookie, Jamar Chase, 1455 with 13 TDs. Cooper Kupp, 16 TDs. Jamar Chase is unbelievable. Maybe he'll be Super Bowl MVP. Maybe Joe Burrow will be. But I am rooting for Cincinnati in this game. There's no question about that. And I get probably a little too animated for teams that are not the Minnesota Vikings. But believe me, you think I'm a little crazy now, how crazy I'd be if this was the Vikings in this game. It would be unbelievable if the Vikings were fortunate enough to kick off in this game. I wish we could. But that's why we kept hearing about SoFi all season on KFAN. I forget what the rhyme was. But like, oh, we're going to SoFi. Like, yeah, sure we are. It's a nice dream, but hopefully that day does come with this new leadership at all 3 positions, including the quarterback, hopefully leading the Vikings to a Super Bowl championship, not just an appearance going forward. I don't want to be the first team to lose 5 Super Bowls and without a win. Denver has 5 losses, but they have 3 wins to their name too. So boo-hoo. Who cares now? All that pain is washed away, except for the poor players that didn't get rings back in the day for the Broncos. But that's how that goes. It's a sucky part of life, man. Yep. But Cincinnati has every right to have a chance to win this game. 46-11 in yardage for Burrow during the season, 34 touchdowns and 14 INTs. 48-86 for Matthew Stafford, a lot like his great Detroit seasons when he was an MVP candidate and looked like a number 1 overall pick, just like Joe Burrow. 41 touchdowns, 17 interceptions. That'll be the undoing of the Rams if the Cincinnati defense can get the job done and force turnovers on Matthew Stafford, who can be quite erratic at times. Obviously, if Stafford is sharp beyond belief, it's probably going to go to the Rams. And, of course, that pass rush, that deadly pass rush of the Los Angeles Rams can get the job done as well. Joe Burrow did survive 9 sacks from an excellent Tennessee defense on the road and got the job done. So Joe Burrow can absolutely get this done. Unfortunately, I will be picking the Rams to win this game just because. I will be picking the Rams to win this game. Doesn't mean I want them to. It doesn't mean I don't believe the Cincinnati Bengals can absolutely get it done. But I will pick the Rams to be a slight favorite in this game by a 3-point margin. I think it's going to be just like these games this weekend, where it's like a 3-point victory for one team or the other. Maybe the Bengals pull off like Brady going down the field, the final drive, and here comes McPherson from 30 yards out, 40 yards out, 50 yards out, with 3 seconds left. And Cincinnati brings home their first championship since their first world championship as the Bengals, and their first for the city of Cincinnati since the Reds in 1990. Cincinnati Reds baseball, of course. Cincinnati has, crazy, believe it or not, Cincinnati Reds have 4 world championships, at least going back into the 70s, with guys like Pete Rose, Joe Morgan, George Foster, and of course Johnny Bench, who you could argue was the best of all of them. Johnny Bench, they won 3 World Series in the 70s, and then all the years later with Chris Tabo, Jose Rijo, and such. Yes, I remember those names. 1990, right before the Twins would get their second World Series championship. So that's how long it's been for the city of Cincy. Little longer than Minnesota, believe it or not, for winning a championship, but a lot more regular season games for Minnesota since then, because we have had 3 or 4 major pro teams, 7-year absence in hockey because the North Stars left and then the Wild came in 2000. North Stars left in 93, pardon me. But I want Cincinnati to win. I think they can, but it just seems like the glitzy LA nonsense is going to come out with a victory, 30-27, a very close, very epic game back and forth. There'll be turnovers, there'll be sacks, there'll be big moments, but then the Rams will come out and in the end, unfortunately, 30-27 at the end of the day. With that, we'll take a break and we will look at fan interaction. And we are back here on Purple Mafia, the third and final segment. I figured I'd have a whole segment for this one. Obviously, I had a lot to say about the conference games. No question about that. Very dramatic, very interesting. And there's a lot of comments, of course. You got the new GM and all the other news that's been going on. Get to the Twitter account, at Purple Mafia Show, at Purple Mafia Show. Do give that a follow. Also, do get on board with the Vig It application, VIGIT, 2 separate words. It is basically fantasy betting, social media for sports bettors. You can post about your picks, see what others are saying about games. Vig It Betting League is a month-long betting competition to see who the best sports bettor is over the course of a month. Free-to-play sportsbook, bet free coins, win real prizes. Betting stats, there's great information available on the Vig It Lifeline movement where the public is betting. Again, it is not real money wagering. And when you do join, when they ask for the referral, it is Paladinolive. Paladinolive, that's in the show description. Also, consider getting on with Crypto.com. Crypto.com is an application, even though it sounds like a website. It's an app, an app on Apple or Google devices, of course. Simply click on the link in the show description. It'll show I referred you, and you get $25 put in your account to trade cryptocurrency. Pretty fun. And it is worth it. Yes, it's risky. There's a risk in everything there is. Every market there is. Crypto market, stock market, real estate market, commodity market, bond market. There is a risk in everything, so don't expect perfection. Don't expect, I'm not up here saying, oh, you're guaranteed to make money. No, you're not. But you can. You can absolutely make money, and it's a lot of fun when you do. Let me tell you, because I have. All right, so I want to thank Vince Germano for the most recent retweet. The retweet of the most recent episode, anyway. Purple Mafia episode 365. That would make this one 366. GM finalists and conference finalists. Thank you so much, Vince Germano, out of Australia, Melbourne, Australia. Dave Hickey out of Iowa, jumping on Twitter. Pretty cool. It's at Vike Lifer. Pretty cool. He says, you go, Joey, and I know you always put in the work, but I do believe the Vikings need to find a trade partner for Cousins, and it better be a first-round pick. Yeah, I hope we can get at least one back. That one guy was saying, so he's Dave Hickey's responding to this from just before the new show came out. That one guy was saying, can you guys do a deep dive into a few quarterbacks? Yep, and I was saying, for sure, it's definitely a direction we need to go, though it may be an episode or 3 away, like as I was saying. So it's probably closer to 3 episodes away because of there's this one, of course, so that's one. The next one might be the head coach, and then the next one would be the Superbowl. So it's something like that one guy. But yes, we'll get into it. We'll get it deeper and deeper into the possible quarterbacks, and those are interesting names, especially Malik Willis. A lot of people really like him with that mobility and such. Because so far, I'm generally ignorant when it comes to the draft right now. Of course, meaning I haven't done any studying yet, but they're coming. Dave Hickey was saying the blonde in the Verizon curls is just as annoying. Yep, because I was saying I hate commercials like the Samsung one and the Lexus one with all the stupid dancing in the Samsung one, and just Lexus. It's just pure arrogance. I'm not a big fan of Lexus because of that. I just think too many people are full of themselves. Blackspace simply responds with, I don't watch them, so... Dave Martin, Mad Martin, out of Northern Scotland. Now, Blackspace is from Mankato, and he also does the God, Sex, and Sin podcast. Highly, highly recommended. You could kind of call this a commercial on the fly, in a way, and I'll probably make one for him. He made one for Purple Mafia, Brave the Wild, Timberwolves Explosion. Really cool. He was recommending my shows on God, Sex, and Sin, and it is a really, really damn good show when it comes to, just life, conversations about life, and he offers some incredible advice A very, very wise young man, I'd have to say, in his mid-20s. Incredible advice from somebody that's been through a lot, and I've been through things as well. I mean, we all have. We can all kind of relate. That's where it's okay to kind of drop the, kind of let your hair down a little bit, drop some of the false pride and this and that, and just, give it a listen and also open up. And that's kind of what Sebastian does a bit, which is absolutely fantastic. Sebastian, God, Sex, and Sin podcast. Look it up on all the major applications, apps, like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. It's on those at the very least, and many others, I'm sure. So highly recommended. Mad Martin, Northern Scotland, says, absolutely, you've got to watch those Cousin Crusaders. Purple Mafia is a solid podcast. Something happened. Oh, I missed something. Jamie says, hi, all. I am new to Twitter and looking for suggestions of who to follow for Vikings chat, discussions, content, etc. I'm a UK fan, started following the NFL and the Vikings for 10 years as I gradually lost interest in football. Peter says, welcome to Twitter. Be careful talking about cousins. Uh-oh. Yep, gotta watch those Cousins Crusaders. Yep, hopefully Jamie followed. I don't think... Oh, she did. I'll give a follow back there. Cool. That's nice. From UK, huh? I just see a hat. That's all I see. But welcome on board, Jamie, if you happen to be listening for the first or second. Probably have to be the first time and maybe second, depending on the situation. But welcome on board out of the UK. Mad Martin, Northern Scotland, a legend of legends when it comes to Purple Mafia, for sure. UK and Ireland fan club are both following each other as well. Yep, they were talking about watch out for the Cousins people. Yep. Cool. UK and UK and Ireland Vikings fan club. Thank you very much. Really cool hearing from them. And then God, Sex, and Sin. There's the Twitter account saying, make sure you catch the ad for Purple Mafia and Brave the Wild, hosted by my friend, Paladino Joey. Thank you very much, Sebastian. Awesome. Yep, and it's a good show. It's a damn good show. Danae Brown out of New Zealand says, would love to see the Bengals go all the way, and thankfully they did. Oh my. It was a little scary, and it didn't look good, because I remember at the beginning of the day, much earlier in the morning, I had two pictures together, San Francisco with that old school helmet, and the Cincinnati Bengals logo, helmet logos, side by side, saying, need I say more? Yep, and I wanted a rematch of the 1988 Super Bowl. It just didn't happen, unfortunately, because 49ers missed it by this much. Cincinnati's there. I think Cincinnati would have definitely beaten the 49ers in the Super Bowl. I think so. In the past, I might have thought San Francisco. It's like, no, Cincinnati wins the Super Bowl if it's San Francisco, and they could beat the Rams too. But unfortunately, I have the Rams winning. Not that I want that. Not that I want that. Make me wrong, Cincy. Make me wrong. Make me wrong one more time, Cincy. You can do it. Tanae says, would love to see the Bengals go. Oh, yeah, I already read that. What am I saying? Malcolm jumps on board saying, I would love to see their game plan involve some more quick-hitting passes and screens today. Yeah, there was a little bit of that, wasn't there? Especially that touchdown right before the half. That was similar that way. I was saying, yes, you got to get what you can and run, literally. Yards after catch. I believe Malcolm liked that. I'm not sure who did. It doesn't even show. It doesn't even show who liked it. No, Tanae. So Malcolm's like, screw you, I'm out of here. No, I don't know. He's probably busy with something. Yeah, I was responding to Tanae, me too, big time. I know they can do it. They just need to go out there and take care of business. Yep. That being Cincinnati. Mad Martin says, just going to enjoy the games. Don't care much about the results. Oh, man. Let me see. Mad Martin says, well-deserved. Casey blew it in the second half. Year of the cat. Yes, and I sure hope so. Sebastian said at least he's in the NFC. When I was comparing Joe Burrow a little bit to Tom Brady, because it's the second year. And it's that young underdog jumping, making some miraculous things happen like Montana did and Brady did. Montana did now 40 years ago, if you can believe it. And Brady did 20 years ago. Wow. The 81, 01, 21. Oh my God, that's yet one more piece. Wouldn't that be unbelievable? Like the stars aligning for something magical to happen. Wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't that be cool? Just think about it. 20-year spans with Montana to Brady to Burrow. Wow. Could it be? Could it be? Just listen to all that. Just listen to all the things lining up. Listen to all that lining up. It's unbelievable. The only team that was kind of favored in all that was the San Francisco 49ers in 81. They were kind of the favorites, but again, it's a young quarterback, really, really young quarterback. So can't expect like perfection and all that from a rookie or a second-year guy, almost a rookie. At Paladinolive Show, that's the Twitter. Let's get to Facebook. No comments on the recent show post, but there's comments a bit going forward. The sources were the Bears are finalizing deal to make Poles the general manager. Couple comments here, if I can get to them. Mark Carlson out of Iowa says, "Well, there goes that, and I feel sorry for him. Wow, who would want to live there? Yeah, think about all the crime and such. Yeah, it's not a good place, Chicago." Brett McCarthy says, "Hire Sean Payton." Yep, and you never know, maybe we will. Brett McCarthy is definitely pushing that one. Brett McCarthy out of South Dakota. Mike Filler, Stu Evans, also out of South Dakota, saying, "Crap, we're going to end up with somebody's leftovers coaching staff too." Oh, I hope not. Mark was saying you're most likely right. Well, we'll see about Mensah. We'll see if he's fantastic. Gerald String racks up this section saying, "Well, now it feels like the chick you wanted to take to the dance turned you down, so now you go see if you can second chance will go." Just doesn't have a good vibe in my book. The Browns took a step back this year. Who drafted Baker? I think he's a great guy, but second-level quarterback at best. I would rather have Cousins. Oh well, wait and see for another 10 years, I guess. Guess we have learned not to expect a lot from this team. Yeah. So, yep, Vikings to sign Adofo Mensah. That was from Daily Norseman. Brett McCarthy says, "Hire Sean Payton as coach." Jen Hellstrom says, "Ew, no way." Ha, that's funny. Jerry Hicks out of St. Louis says, "Seems like a smart dude. Hope he is even smarter than he looks on paper." Yep, I hope so. Continuing, yep, Vikings hire Kwesi Adofo Mensah as general manager from the Star Tribune. That's when it became completely official. Leland Albertson, Iowa, says, "After looking into this guy, he seems interesting. Analytics-based, did a lot of research in groups, management skills, etc. A different thought process than Zimmer for sure. Things are going to change up north, better or worse. Here we go." And yes, it should be fun. No doubt. Matt Emer out of the UK, and welcome back. Good to hear from Matt Emer again. He says, "Like the move. Now get the right coach in. Keen for an offensive coach, but unsure who's the favorite at the moment." Apparently it might be down to 2 guys, or 3 guys. Kevin O'Connell, offense. Jim Harbaugh, offense. Or D'Amico Ryans, defense, San Francisco. So we'll see what happens there. Pardon me. Packers wire Broncos finalizing deal to hire Packers offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett as new head coach. Matt LaBelle, who lives locally but is a Packer fan, says, "Well, Rodgers and Adams will be headed there. The Vikings will have a chance again in the NFC North if they can get it together and maybe a new quarterback." Yep. Yeah, we'll see. And it's a golden opportunity, I'm sure. No doubt. Leland Albertson says, "Yep, or setting up a Rodgers move to Denver." Yep, I think so. I do think so. Broncos kind of being damn good, but I was sad to see Hackett go, though, instead of coming here, because I wanted Hackett. So it's not like I'm mad that he's on Denver. I'm mad that we don't get him. So I posted twice because I wanted to have the better quality one directly from YouTube, not from the Star Tribune. Shoot. Okay. No, that is the Star Tribune. Maybe the YouTube one got canceled out. Nope, they're both there. I'm an idiot. Okay, only one comment, but that's okay. It's a good one. Dave Hickey says, "I think he'll be good for the Vikings. He's very intelligent and has worked for a winning organization in the 49ers. Yep, that was his main job. His main tenure was 49ers. By all accounts, he asks a lot of questions from great football minds, and he believes you hire good and knowledgeable people and let them do their jobs, and you hold them accountable and yourself accountable. You don't do the opposite like Zimmer and never take blame for bad decisions and constantly throw people under the bus." Skull. And yeah, that was one thing I will give credit to Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. They both, took responsibility for that bad play at the end of the first half. I respect what they did. Instead of just kind of having an attitude and this or that, both of them are like, "Yeah, I mean, it's my bad. It's really my bad there." So I respect Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, honestly. I do. I don't like the Kansas City Chiefs. There's a lot of players on that team I don't like. But I have nothing, and I repeat, nothing against Mahomes or Andy Reid. I appreciate the accountability and the class that they exhibited after the game. Felt kind of bad for them, honestly. I did. Like guys like Tyreek Hill, I did not feel bad for. I don't hate Tyreek Hill as much as it might sound, but I hate I hate his attitude. Not him, just his attitude. It's just too much. Tom Brady reportedly to retire after 22 NFL seasons filled with comebacks, records, and 7 Super Bowl titles. I'm not going to lie, this hit me kind of hard. I was pretty sad, actually. A lot of you might think, good riddance, get the hell out of here, we're tired of you, we got sick of seeing the Patriots, and then, gosh, now you win with the Bucs too, get out of here. No, don't get out of here. I enjoyed every minute of Tom Brady's career. I'm saying that with full honesty, and if you want to unfollow and hate the show, I guess, well, whatever. Well, you really wouldn't have to, because I'm not going to be talking about how great Brady is every 10 seconds if he's retired. I'll bring him up at times, of course, because you have to. And I still bring up Joe Montana. He's been retired for a long time. Long time. He's been retired for 25, 26, 27 years already. My God. Because he certainly didn't last 22 seasons. I enjoyed every moment of this guy's career. His rookie year, he didn't play. His second year, he played with, there was some blood in Drew Bledsoe's lungs. And the Patriots started 0-2 that season, and then everything changed. They finished with an 11-5 record, make the playoffs, win the first round. It's like, okay, wow, because like this Patriots team, there's something going on here. Then there's that weird tuck rule, whatever, with Oakland. That was a weird situation there, but they got past that. A snowy day in Oakland, a very good Oakland team, by the way. Went to the Super Bowl the next year with John Gruden as coach, only to lose to, John Gruden not as coach, with John Gruden beating Oakland on the other side. Pardon me, that's stupid. I mean, Gruden was the one that lost to Brady in that playoff series. They get past Pittsburgh easily, getting interceptions versus a very mediocre quarterback named Cordell Stewart. With Drew Bledsoe at quarterback, as Brady hurt his ankle early in that game, which is kind of funny. It's ironic how that all worked out. Total team effort. Drew Bledsoe helped lead the Patriots back to his second Super Bowl, and Brady returned versus a Goliath-like Rams team, and they won it. And the rest was history after that. Regardless of how you feel about that game, regardless of how you feel about Deflategate, this and that, I still respect Tom Brady and what he accomplished. I think it was an amazing career, and I'm going to miss him very much. Very, very much. Thank you, Tom Brady, for 22 seasons. 21 really as a player, like actually playing, but 22 overall seasons. Thank you, Tom Brady. It was amazing. Thank you. If you actually retire, we'll see. Gerald String out of Nebraska says, hate to say it, but we'll watching him. But we'll miss watching him is what you meant to say, I'm sure. I will too, very much. I'm going to miss him very much. Like, you got tired of seeing the Bulls win championships with Michael Jordan. But within like a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, it's like, oh, I miss him so much. And that's what it was like with Michael. I miss him to death. I'm not even kidding, God, that was fun. That was a damn good time, man. You can never take those kind of guys for granted. You just can't. Jim Harbaugh to interview for Minnesota Vikings head coaching job per report as of the Sports and Yahoo, this and that. I thought it was Star Tribune. Mark Carlson says, now we're talking. Yeah. Leland says, OMG, this could change everything. Gerald String says, this would be awesome. Tanae Brown out of New Zealand says, wonder if he could get Andrew Luck to come out of retirement. I was like, whoa, yeah, maybe. And a little more. There's the Championship Sunday. A few comments here, not as many as the last week was pretty busy because there was so much on there. And that was basically like Cincinnati defense is awesome. They could actually win the Super Bowl. And I was posting San Francisco and Cincinnati. Need I say more? Blah blah blah. Just like on Twitter. Dave Hickey says I'm all in on the Bengals. Not into all the egos in LA. Screw that Ramsey. Yeah, I don't like Ramsey at all. Yeah, he has become a total a-hole. So he's another guy that, like I remember he was getting all up in Justin Jefferson's face and stuff. Or no, KJ Osborne. Jefferson's a little on the cocky side now, but he's so good. That's kind of why. Yeah, he's a little on the cocky side. I kind of got rubbed wrong a little bit by him. Little on the cocky side at times, but certainly not as bad as Ramsey. Just too much attitude. That guy's just looking for a fight every 10 seconds. I don't remember him being like that. I just don't, but I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Gerald String says Bengals shock the world and knock off the Chiefs. Why not? After all these years, Matt Stafford finally makes the Super Bowl. Well, you're undefeated there, Gerald. You got both of them. Yep. And I hope the Bengals shock the world one more time. We'll see if they can. Leland says, agreed. Bengals all the way. Alex Tavert and most of the other Ram players rub me wrong. Amen, Leland. They do. I don't like Beckham at all. I think he's all about himself and attention. And I think Ramsey's an ass. I think he's an ass. Donald is a damn good player, but there's a lot of attitude there, and I don't like that either. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan either. Gerald String says, wait to hang in there. Bengals and shock the world. Yes, sir, Gerald. Yes, sir. And that's it. Fanny reaction is complete. As for the stars, Joe Burrow. No, I'm kidding. The stars, the gold star for this episode, it's really, really hard. I think I'm going to go with Dave Hickey. Dave Hickey's going to bring in the gold. Gerald String. Oh, my God, he has a call-in. I better get to that first. I forgot about the call-in. Oh, boy, Gerald. I apologize. I'll get to that in a second. So Gerald's going to share the gold with the call-in, and Dave Hickey, I got to do the call-in. I'm an idiot. So you'll hear from that in a second. Oh, good thing my wife's not in here right now. She'd be getting really mad at me. Silver star to Leland. Bronze star to Mark Carlson. Thank you, guy. And Mark Carlson. Leland and Mark Carlson will get bronze. Sebastian, today, Mad Martin, I'll bring in the bronze. Okay, so with that, we'll get to Gerald String's call in right now.
Hey, Joey, Gerald out of Nebraska calling in for Purple Mafia this week. Talking about general managers and head coach opportunities. I'm feeling a little better finally with Kwesi Mensah. At first, I even made some comments on your website. I just think it felt like we were getting the second choice. However, it's really hard to dig into that and read into that, but everything I'm starting to see and read and listen to is, I'm not so sure that wasn't their first choice and they weren't worried about bringing polls in. And I've been watching his interviews. I think he looks like a sharp dude. Um, uh, the main thing is, we're starting to hear and see how bad the relationship was with Zimmer and Spielman down the stretch, and we kind of all thought it, but we didn't realize to what degree. And I think it started with Spielman bringing Cousins in, Zimmer not being on board, and it just kept spiraling downhill. And man, I'm glad they have the courage to move on. It just feels good. It feels a lot better now. That, like I said, like I've been watching some of his interviews. Kwesi Mensah, I think think he'll have some good opportunities. And then talking about his head coaching candidates, I love them. Jim Harbaugh, that was always my number one. But if you want to go younger, that might be old school. Kevin O'Connell and DeMarco Ryan. They're down to those three. Man, you can't go wrong with any one of those three. Wish you could hire all three of them. I don't have any. The only thing I'd say is Kevin O'Connell was a backup quarterback. So it'd be similar like a Doug Peterson. Maybe that would be good for Cousins. Good for our offense. DeMarco Ryans. Do we want to bring another defensive-minded guy in here? I don't think the problem was that Zimmer was a defensive-minded guy. I think it was because he was a rock-headed guy. I mean, they were stubborn and just like we've been talking, the relationship is just going to crap, probably more than we ever realized. So this could be a cool deal. I mean, we got some good players coming back. John Lynch from the 49ers, he thinks the world is Kwesi Mensah. So I don't know. We'll see. I feel a lot better about it than the day it was announced. And then I made those comments on Purple Mafia. So we'll see. I'm on board. So Skull Purple Mafia Nation. Let's see. Hope when this airs, I'm gonna go with Bengals to shock the world and upset the Chiefs. Rams win easily at home, and we'll see what happens from there. Talk to y'all later. See ya. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you so much, Gerald, for that call. Always appreciate it. That was awesome. How dare you doubt the San Francisco 49ers? That's terrible. You're not a football fan. How dare you doubt them? No, I'm kidding. Yeah, with Garoppolo at quarterback, I suppose. I knew if it was a rematch with San Francisco and Kansas City, I knew what would happen there. It would have been the same garbage. It would have been a worse version. Obviously, San Francisco should have won against the Chiefs. Like, San Francisco should have at least one Super Bowl. And, yeah, at least one Super Bowl, and the Chiefs should have 0. Just think about that. Because Patrick Mahomes was kind of choking away that game, too, until the last minute. That's the funny part. Mahomes, and all this talk about Brady, I wanted to talk about this earlier. Now I've kind of brought it back going in my head here. All this talk about Mahomes is going to be better than Brady and this and that. No, we'll see. He's not going to be better than Brady. He's not going to be better than Brady. He's not. That's over. That conversation is over. Does that mean there's no chance he's going to be one of the greatest of all time, a top 5, top 2 quarterback of all time? Of course he could be, but I don't think he's going to catch Brady. I'm going to leave it right there. I don't think he's going to catch Brady. That kind of got that memory back, that conversation going again a little bit for some reason with San Francisco. Yeah, that defense can mess people up, but unfortunately, Garoppolo just can't get it done. Just like he didn't get it done last time, where he had golden opportunities to beat the Kansas City Chiefs and win a Super Bowl. And in this case, he just couldn't get anything going. And it's a miracle they got past Green Bay thanks to the special teams. Obviously, the defense did a hell of a job. But the offense, with Garoppolo at quarterback, can't get it done. San Francisco, it's too bad, and obviously the young guy is just not ready to go, I don't think. Mr. Lance there. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with Trey Lance. I don't know if he's the right guy or not, honestly. I agree with a lot of what you said. It's really nice to be starting over with a new group, new attitude, a new vibe. And, all the coaching candidates do sound interesting. You just never know. It could be somebody like, who the hell is that? Or Bill Belichick coaching the Patriots from the Jets. What a joke. Bill Belichick never did anything. And then Bill Belichick, that's what like Dubé and all them were saying many years ago when Belichick first got there. And then he wins, 6 Super Bowls there. It's absolutely crazy. So things can happen. Maybe we'll get a coach that can win multiple Super Bowls in Minnesota. And at least getting that first one will be the most emotional of all for everyone. Absolutely. With that said, thank you so much for the call-in. I greatly appreciate it. Encourage others to call in as well. And Gerald, keep doing it. Really, really appreciate that. And others that haven't done it yet, or maybe you forgot how, or it's a different mode than before. Before you used to call a number. Brent Jacobson never called again since then, which is too bad. I'd love to hear from Brent again. It's very easy to do. Just use the free voice recording application on any device on the planet. Open it, press record, talk right into it, then save it or share it. You don't even have to save it, but share it. Share it / email it to paladinolive@yahoo.com, paladinolive@yahoo.com. I would then convert it into an MP3 file, thanks to Zumzar.com, which I just did on the fly here, because I had the file, but I hadn't converted it yet. It took about a couple seconds there. So very happy to be able to get that done on the fly as I'm recording the show. Thank you, Zumzar, always. Great website when you need to convert files. Highly recommended. Highly recommended. With that said, please write a positive rating on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher or Audible. Really appreciate those of you that have in the past. Please, any of you that haven't yet and you're able to do so, it would really help the show. With that said, thank you. Have a wonderful week or two, and we'll talk about the head coach, looks like, next time around.